On the build up to Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, we were covering it in Newswave, and I kept having people in the comments saying, hey, you got to make sure you check this game out. It's going to be awesome. And then it comes out and people are really excited about it. They're having a blast. And I had it on my radar and I'm like, I'll get a chance to check it out eventually. But wouldn't you know it, Sega actually showed up and asked if they could sponsor a video for Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. And I said, okay, as long as I can talk about it how I want and go over what my thoughts are on it, kind of experiencing it for the first time, that sounds good. So they agreed to that, and that's what we're doing here today. I'm actually pretty excited to check out a game that people have continuously recommended to me in the comments for quite some time. So let's take a look at Sonic Racing CrossWorlds, and I mean just some of the most wild crossovers that they are doing for this game. So if you guys enjoy the video, hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. I think the thing that immediately caught my eye with Sonic Racing CrossWorlds was Sega's idea to bring in characters from other franchises as guest characters. But they decided to go a bit further with additions like Minecraft, Pac-Man, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. SpongeBob SquarePants is the latest one that is available now, and it has SpongeBob along with Patrick and the Paddy Wagon. Hey, if nothing else, we now have a game where you can find out who will win in a race between Patrick Star, Ichiban Kasuga, and Joker. There are 23 Sonic characters to pick from, along with the DLC character that makes for a pretty good lineup. Can I name them all just by looking at their character images? That's a great question. Anyway, I just jumped into Grand Prix immediately and figured, hey, you know what? I would just learn on the fly since I've played enough kart racers in my day as it is. There are options to customize your car, and it actually affects your stats depending on what parts you include. So let's say, for example, you want to be as fast as possible. You can sacrifice some of your car's strength and just try to outrun everyone. You can take a more balanced approach as well, and that's what I went with, at least to start. I thought about using Sonic, who's going to be the default character for most people, but I wanted to be different and cool, and went with Shadow instead. In this gameplay, I'm on my PC with a 3080 Ti using an Xbox controller, and the game itself was super smooth the entire time. Acceleration is with holding down A. There are accessibility features that can do things like auto-accelerate or assist with steering if needed. It becomes obvious super quickly that drifting is going to be a real focus here. The right shoulder button will throw you into a drift when hitting a corner, and you'll have these 3 levels fill up as bars, each indicating a level of boost you'll get when you let go. The drifting took some getting used to, mostly for just how aggressive some corners would need to be tackled for turns to get a nice line. It's really satisfying when you get the hang of it, and made some of the races downright chaotic in some of the more narrow twists. Really, now that I think about it, this entire game is just off the wall crazy to see in action. There are cars flying all over the place, items are coming from all directions, and at certain points, the lead racer can pick a dimension to morph the track into. What happens is you'll be presented with 2 choices, and depending on which one you go with, it'll change the track for everyone else as they pass through the gate. This is actually a really cool effect to experience mid-race and just add it to the chaos. Some areas you may change to will include more flying or jumping, and if you have certain items equipped, you can play into your advantage. There was this one casino world that I thought looked really fun in motion, so I would usually just go with that for the look. So, a lot of serious racing strategy going on over here. But with the Grand Prix mode, there's a rival you'll race against, and they're marked the entire time. Whether you see them on the track or at the end when the results are tallied, they're basically the boss character for the set of races, and you need to try to beat them to continue. The first one went down easy, so I moved the difficulty up a notch, and things got a lot more serious then. I had several races literally coming down to inches at the end, so I can only imagine what some of the harder difficulties look like. The soundtrack really syncs up to the frenetic gameplay well, and certainly emphasizes those dimensional shifts. It was something that stood out to me right away, where a sudden jolt will just hit you when the music kicks in, like here in this section.
I'll set the pace. Not bad, not bad. Incoming.
There are items on each track that you'll get when you run through these question mark blocks. You'll have standard speed boosts along with all types of destructive items you can throw at the competition. There are also defensive items that you can throw to stop a homing attack or just leave behind you to trip up the person on your tail. It took a lot of experimentation by just throwing items during races to see what everything does, since it's not immediately obvious, but after a couple races I had a few locked down that I would constantly look for and hold on to for that final lap. You know, it's a classic kart racer when that homing attack hits you right before the finish line. That can't just be me, right? Or is that really just my luck? There are also these other abilities you can equip ahead of a race to influence some of the items you'll get or even upgrade those different items. You can also do things like add extra boost at the start of the match or make air tricks faster to complete. It's fun to try to pull off some crazy 25-60 spins, so I basically just always have that one equipped. Pair this with the ability to customize how your car looks and runs, and it feels like everyone will legitimately just have a different experience. It certainly adds a lot to strategy when playing online or locally with some friends. Speaking of which, the game does have full crossplay for an online multiplayer that supports up to 12 people in a race. Being able to play across platforms with friends is great, but also for the game itself, pulling from a combined player pool is important going forward, and it's good to see Sega went with this setup. PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and PC all joining in to race around with Sonic, SpongeBob, Joker, and Steve isn't exactly where I thought we'd be in 2025, but here we are. There's also local multiplayer with up to 4 people through split screen, which is something else that I feel like has gone by the wayside a bit in the last 10 years. Being able to play couch co-op or competitive is great, since you can look your friends in the eyes when you knock them out right at the finish line and steal first place. I think something that would be cool to see in a future title is a big time story or adventure mode. The racing and gameplay loop as it stands is mostly racing rivals and unlocking abilities and car parts, which is fun on its own, but adding that additional adventure mode would take things to the next level here. Still, I get why people have been bringing this game up so much in the comments whenever it's mentioned. It's good chaotic racing fun. It does have a bit of an old school flair for arcade racing fans, and I think that's a good thing, since it's really satisfying when a drift comes together perfectly or when you smash through a crowd with your big monster truck power-up.
You have been surpassed.
Oh, and I did check it out on the Steam Deck just out of curiosity to see how it would run, and I'm happy to say that a solid 60 FPS is easily attainable here with a mix of high and low settings at the screen's native resolution. The OLED model here looks great with the visuals and colors when you're racing around. Sonic Racing CrossWorlds is available on all major platforms and PC, with SpongeBob DLC available now. Have you been playing Sonic Racing CrossWorlds? Let me know down in the comments, and let me know what other guest characters you would like to see enter the game in the future. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.